Good afternoon, runners, and welcome back again to another Facebook Live here with New York Roadrunners as we get ready for the TCS New York City Marathon this Sunday. It is the 50th running. You can feel the excitement in the air outside of New York. I was out there last night with our group trainers. They are so excited. They've worked so hard to get to this point. Expo opens tomorrow afternoon at 4 o'clock, runners, so we hope to see you there. But between now and then, we want to make sure that we cover all the questions you have, any aches and pains. As we know, this is your taper week. If you're getting ready for the marathon, you may be finding little things that haven't hurt in forever, and all of a sudden they're popping back up. So today we are happy to have alongside with myself, I have Cara Ann Senicola from Hospital for Special Surgery. She's a physical therapist and currently is the Director of Rehabilitation and Performance at Hospital for Special Surgery. Cara, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's marathon season, marathon week. The energy is here in New York City.
It is so here. And runners, we know you have a ton of questions. We also want to know where you are watching from. Maybe this is your first New York City marathon or your first marathon in general. Let us know where you're watching from. Let us know if you have any of those phantom aches and pains. You woke up this morning and all of a sudden that left pinky finger was hurting and you're like, oh my gosh, what am I supposed to do? What am I doing? Is my marathon over? Well, I can hopefully say that no, your pinky finger's hurting, your marathon is not over. But if you have any of those injury-related questions, please drop them in the chat, and we will go through that today with Cara because she has all the good information to get you ready to go on Sunday. But as we go through, again, our runners are in the taper time, and we're talking earlier, you've done New York City before, the marathon, you've also done a few others, so you're familiar with the taper fun. So let's talk about this week as runners are so close to getting started, and they wake up and all of a sudden they're like, oh my gosh, why is my ankle bothering me today? What's going on? How can you decipher between maybe not so what's not real, but what's going on with their bodies at this point in taper?
Yeah, so the sensation of pain is real. Pain is an output from our body, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're injured. And you can think about it like a phantom limb pain. Some people have lost limbs and they feel like the limb that's gone, it hurts. That's real. That's our brain. I think you have to think about what you're doing in your day-to-day. You start training and then you build up and you're taking more and more time to train and it's life-changing, right? It takes over so much of your day-to-day, and then in your taper, sometimes you find a little bit more free time. And you're like, but I'm not running my 20-miler. I only did it once. Is that enough? Am I going to be okay? You're going to be okay. Sometimes pain is a reaction for some stress and anxiety and nerves. So what I say is, if this is a little ache, it kind of comes and goes, it's not something that's consistent, then that might be a phantom pain. Usually, if there's an injury, it's asymmetrical, meaning that, say, the left calf hurts, but not so much the right. That's something to pay a little bit more attention to. And if it's consistent, every time you start running, you feel that, then that's something you want to get checked out. If it comes and goes, I'd say do some meditative work, do some mindfulness. I'm a yoga teacher, so I'm a big fan of doing breath work. You can use apps, whatever feels good to you. Fill your cup, maybe spend some time with friends, and try to decrease some of that stress and anxiety, and check in and see if that pain's gone away.
And that's great advice. And I can't think of anybody who's suffered any kind of stress over the last 18 months getting to this point. I mean, 2020 was so enjoyable and pleasurable for all of us. But yeah, it is so true because, taking a moment just to step back, like you said, and fill your cup. I think that's a great way to describe it because it is so true. Sometimes you get so locked into the now and you forget about to look around for a second and take it all in because a lot of runners out there, you probably worked so hard just to get to today, let alone getting to your race day on Sunday at that start line. So important. And the phantom pains happen. We all get them. Hopefully they're not bad because again, if you do have any kind of severe pain like you talked about, you should know what maybe that feels like at this point. Hopefully you're not suffering with anything severe. Hopefully you've had a good training cycle. You want to get to the start line as healthy as we can. That's goal number one for anybody out there.
Absolutely. And in my opinion, less is more. At this time, you're not going to have a bad race if you miss a 3-miler the week of race day. So if something feels like it needs rest, give yourself that rest. Give yourself that opportunity to take the time to heal, to fill your cup, and get ready for Sunday.
Absolutely. And now is the time to look at the TVR or your Netflix queue and see what you've been waiting on. Hold on. Maybe this week start tapping into a little bit of that, but for sure. But again, there are maybe some runners out there that maybe have something a little bit more severe or maybe an ache or a pain because then training is hard. A lot of people have started probably training for this marathon 12, 16, 20 weeks ago. And anyone who's trained for a marathon knows that it's a long process. There's a physical buildup, there's an emotional buildup, a mental buildup to get there. So if any runners are out there who maybe have had something severe happen to them during their training cycle, or even dealing with it still now, what are some practices or best ideas that they can use to truly assess what's going on to get to the start line at this point?
Yeah, so if you've had any aches or pains, hopefully you've gone to a doctor or a physical therapist and you've created some treatment plan that was aligned with your training program. So I'd say follow that program. I'm a huge fan of strength training in conjunction to your running. So keep maybe not increasing the load, but maintaining that strength training program. I always say that's homework to be able to run your races. Make sure you're still doing that homework. And really listening to your body. And I can't stress it enough, less is more this week. So give your body that chance to rest.
Absolutely, runners. If you're out there and you're thinking, should I go off for my 3-mile shakeout run today? And maybe you have had a knee, calf, or ankle injury, or hip injury, or even upper body injury. I think agree. Say no at this point. Take the time off. Sit and relax. There's really, nothing you can do to benefit physically to get yourself to the start line, but you can, there could be some detriment work if you get out there and you make it worse. So right now, as we like to say, the hay is in the barn. Hang out on that hay. Hang out on that barn. Find that couch. Just breathe. You're going to be okay. Race day is coming. The expo is going to be coming up as well. But again, if a mild injury is out there, what are some of the treatments that they can look for at this point? Can a runner do if they are kind of dealing with it and it's nagging a bit more?
Yeah. So hard to say. I think it depends injury to injury. If you've used kinesio tape before, I think that's a nice supportive tool that you can have. If you say sprained your ankle on one of your last runs and you've been able to run through it, but it's not perfect, I would be bracing that pretty significantly. But go see a specialist. I'm a little wary of just Googling things. So, I mean, sometimes there's great information out there, but just in case, I would go see a specialist before the race.
Google doesn't have all the answers? Google, I've Googled everything.
Interesting answers. I mean, I Google too.
Interesting. Yeah, we'll leave it interesting answers. That is so true. Yeah, because I think that's the first thing people do is they go, oh my gosh, my hip hurts. And what do? They run to the computer, open the browser, grab their phone, whatever they are, and they type in hip hurts, runner, help me. And the first thing that comes up, the Reddit threads or the Facebook threads, you're in there. Yeah, maybe not the best place to
deep in there. You do not want to do that marathon week. I promise. Just we are here. HSS is here for you. We are here for you. Come see a specialist, and let's see if we can give you some supportive tape. Some braces can help. For one of my races, I was a bit injured coming into it, and I actually used kinesio tape for the first time, and I don't know if it was mental or physical, but I had no pain for my first 20 miles of my race. So sometimes those supportive structures can be as good for us here as it is for us physically.
Perfect. So if you Google anything and you live here in New York City, hospital, special surgery, New York City, find them. That's what you should be Googling, not anything else out there. So please. But runners, we know you're out there. We have shout outs coming in. We have questions coming in. So we're going to run over there. We have Scott, first marathon from New Jersey. Hello, New Jersey. Have a great bus ride over on Sunday morning. David, watching from Queens, second time running New York. Hopefully your first time was good. Hopefully the second time is even better. More shouts coming in. Jeff, Charlotte, North Carolina, first New York City Marathon. Have a safe flight up here. Check in your hotel. We'll see you at the expo, Jeff. And Gabby from Chicago. Thank you so much, Gabby, for listening in. Coach Steve always loves our Chicago runners as he is from that area. Dub Denaro, I think we're coming in from, it's cut off there, but San Antonio. Been a minute. Can't wait to run my first New York City Marathon. Looking forward to it, Dub. Can't wait to see you out there. Lindsay from Dallas. I'd say go Cowboys, but I'm a Saints fan, but we'll give you some love anyway. Lindsay, thank you so much. And Patrice, France, first marathon ever.
Wow.
Did they pick the right one? Carrie, what do you think?
100%. I might be biased, but I think 100%. Oh, good luck, first time marathoners.
Yeah, Patrice, you'll have a great time. First time is the best. Melissa, first marathon again. I mean, there's so many out there to choose from. Thank you so much for choosing TCS New York City Marathon. And the 50th running, David again, first time marathoner. And those medals look great. I saw one this week, looking good. So runners, again, keep leaving those shout outs where you're listening in from. Thank you so much. We have some questions coming in, Carrie. Let's see what's going on. See if we can keep our runners off Google.
Yes, sounds great. I'm in.
So Melissa has front ankle pain anterior tibialis. If I
Tibialis.
There we go. Thank you. Again, that's why she's here. And IT band issues. Cara, what do we got for?
Yeah. Again, hard to say with only knowing where your symptoms are, but if you are feeling more discomfort, say on like a downhill, it could be anterior tibialis control. That might be something that kinesio tape could help with. IT band symptoms also. That's going to help for this week. I'd say moving forward, as a runner, typically when we see injuries from the knee down, that usually tells us as physical therapists that you need a little bit more strength and control higher up in those big power muscles like your glutes and your core. So I would say, kinesio tape might be an option for you, but then definitely go see a specialist and see if you can get onto a strength training program if you're not already on one.
That's great. And we always talk to our runners about how like the chain works and how it kind of works both directions. And we talked about it before, and it's so true. When you're having something down here, it doesn't necessarily mean that the problem is here. It could be up the chain for sure. So yeah, get that checked out for sure, runners, because get to the start line feeling good and feeling healthy. Go for it. Here we go. But I think Patrice, hopefully this is maybe our same runner from France who's coming in. Missing my taper due to a left groin injury. I got that during long run, her last long run, I'm guessing 3 weeks ago. What should they expect on race day? It's a good one. It's hard to say because, depending on how that long run went, don't always, base your marathon off your final long run. I think a long run, the runners, they look at that long run as like, this didn't go well. How is my race going to go well? And obviously, hopefully the groin injury is not bad. Hopefully you've taken your taper period pretty easy. What do you think, Cara?
Yeah, I think the fact that you missed your taper is so much better than trying to run through the taper. So I think good to you and very, very healthy mindset of giving yourself that break. And it's a hypothesis for us to see how it's going to go. I think having a strong mantra, a positive mantra, breathing through it, having positive vibes and a positive attitude going into it, using any supportive techniques you have utilized over the past 3 weeks would be helpful, and give it a whirl.
Love that. The power of the mantra, that is a good one to have. Have those out there. Keep those in your mind. You have written them down somewhere. But yeah, chant those all the way through because you'll need them at some point for sure. Next question coming up. David, any information for dealing with an IT band would be helpful. Haven't trained with a brace. Should he consider wearing one for the marathon if he hasn't trained for one? That's always a tough one.
Yeah. So again, David, going back to what I said earlier, I'd get back to a good strength training base post-marathon. My typical rule of thumb is don't try anything new that you haven't tried before. The thing with a brace is if you try it and there's no net positive to it, you can take it off during the race. So I wouldn't be opposed to trying one of those braces to get you through the race, but then go see someone so we can work out why you're getting the IT band symptoms.
Yeah, so true. One thing that as a coach we always talk about is nothing new on race day. Coach Steve here, he likes to really back that up. Nothing new on race week. I think it pretty much goes from everything from clothes to food to any kind of maybe some new shoes for sure. You want to have your shoes broken in by now. You know what you're going to run in. Cara and I were joking about beforehand. Everything this week should be what you're used to. Next week is the buffet. Next week you can try anything and everything. I don't care what it is. This week, try to stick with it. But obviously, if you have an injury, we're all looking for kind of like that magic wand to get to our start line ready to go. But I think we have a couple more questions coming in here. So what do we got? Lindsay got some knee aches after some running as well when I use stairs. At what point should I be concerned it's nearing an injury? So what are some of those warning signs?
Yeah. So, tricky could be some of those phantom pains if it just kind of creeped up on you. So for this week, I would say utilize some of the tools that we just suggested about the mindfulness, positive thinking, breath work. Generally speaking, when your knees bother you going upstairs, could be, again, that the strength in your core is not as strong as we would like it to be. Could be that your body's just getting used to that extra mileage. So I wouldn't be concerned unless your knees continue to bother you after race day. And then again, as we've said before, going to see a healthcare provider to assess where if you have any strength deficits or limitations and what we could work on to support your knees better, because running is jumping from one leg to the other. And we need a lot of control in our core and our hips to support our knees and our ankles when we run. So I wouldn't stress about it now. Go out and have a great race, and then check in with your body in the next couple weeks.
Perfect, perfect. We got one more question coming in here, John. What do we got? Prosperity Now 1. I guess it's one of our screen names there. If not, it's a great name. What should I know about marathon toes? I'm guessing maybe black toenails or just in general, but it's a new one. Maybe what do you got,
Yeah,
Cara?
I don't know if marathon toes are orthopedic. If it's a black toenail,
Either I know there's the socks, like you have like those toe socks. Maybe it's just some discomfort in the toes. Maybe when he's running.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing the black toenails are probably a good idea where we are. So, I mean, if someone's getting black toenails, what are some of the things that they can look for? They're uncomfortable, as anyone's had them before, but if a runner's kind of experiencing that, what could be going on?
Yeah, I mean, I wonder what your shoe fit is, if it's a little too tight or too loose and you're moving around in it. If you sweat a lot, sometimes like sock wicking can help with that, because any moisture or mobility with your foot in your sneaker can cause some of that irritation.
Yeah, so true. I mean, I think runners, they have this idea that a black toenail is a badge, almost like you're like in a scout troop and you have like a badge. You wear, I have a black toenail. It's so good. It's not necessarily a good thing to get a black toenail because, man, they are uncomfortable, and when they fall off, if you have a significant other, it doesn't look good.
No,
It does
no.
not.
I was horrified during my Chicago marathon. I was like, my toe feels funny, and then all of a sudden my toenails. Sorry.
I played hockey for a lot of years, and so I had lots of lost toenails over the years. Some have never quite recovered, but we won't go into that now. That's for
Yeah.
We'll save that for another talk. We'll spare you that the details there.
Yeah,
But runners,
but-
thank you so much. Keep those questions coming in. The shout outs. Love to hear everything, especially your first time marathoners. Welcome. So we touched on it earlier. Someone asked about the brace, and you mentioned the Ktape a little bit. At this point, I think some runners, it's like you're so close to getting started that you don't want to not get to the start line, but maybe you're on the fence and you're looking at everything, you've Googled everything, you're trying to figure out what should I do at this point. I mean, it's always a kind of a weird thing. You want to experiment with the treatment. You want to find something. And anybody of a certain age that's seen the Karate Kid, you remember Mr. Miyagi helping, Ralph Macchio out, get him back into the ring to fight. At this point, as a runner, what should they be experimenting with? What would be a good idea? You mentioned Ktape. Kind of what are some ideas that help the runners ease their mind a little bit and hopefully get to the start line?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm with you, Ben, that nothing new race week is really the rule of thumb. But if you feel like you need a little bit more support, I like something like Ktape because you can always take it off if it's not working for you. I wouldn't try like new sneakers or inserts or anything that's going to significantly impact your run. It would be a little harder to take off or get rid of during the race. But if you've been in a lot of pain and it's really limited your ability to even go a mile into the run, I think you have to reflect and see if it's worth going there. But if it's these like little aches and pains, trust your training. You've done it. You've done your homework. Trust it. And that would be my recommendation.
The mantra there, folks, is trust your training. That's the mantra you want to go with because you've done it. I mean, if you've gotten to this point in your training, there's ups and downs. I mean, we have a coach here that loves to say you don't get a medal for a perfect training cycle. It is so true. You get a medal when you cross the finish line. That should be the goal at this point. Training's hard. It's an up and a down. You train for marathons. I train for marathons. They're a challenge. So just be patient. Keep the mantras in there. Trust the training. Be patient. A smile. I have another coach I love to work with. It's a smile. It will feel better. It is so true. Mm-hmm. Smile because it will be uncomfortable at times, even if you're the most fit person out there on the race. Definitely smile. You're going to go through that. And again, when you run, whatever you're doing, you want to get a good warm up in, especially, and it's going to be for all the runners who are coming in for the race. The weather today here in New York is ideal for me, not so much for Cara. You're not the big fan of the cold weather. I love this kind of weather. It's probably high 30s this morning when I woke up. It'll be in the low 40s tonight. Race day is looking fantastic. It'll be a bit chilly, so bring the layers when you're out there on Fort Wadsworth. You may peel a layer off as you cross the Verrazano Bridge, but midday should be fantastic. A little overcast skies, a little north wind, keep you down and cool. But as runners are there before the race or in general, talk about a warm-up. before the race? What would that look like? Maybe how long? To give some runners some pointers.
Yeah, so I'm a big fan of the dynamic warm up. So it's multiple movements that warm your muscles up through movement versus static stretching. So I personally don't recommend, the hold your hamstring stretch, your quad stretch, and then go for your run, because you could have been sitting for 8 hours, or you could have been sleeping and then you went out for your run, and nothing's warm. Nothing's going to be soft and flexible and mobile. So doing a dynamic warm-up like squats, there's something called the world's greatest stretch that you can Google. I'm a yoga teacher, so I utilize a lot of yoga movements, something like a downward dog to a lunge with rotation. You want to do movements that activate and move the muscles and the joints you're moving when you run. So that means your upper back or your thoracic spine with rotation, because we need that in order to power our glutes and our legs. It's something like a squat that moves your ankle, your knee, your hip. A lunge for the same reason, getting a little length in the hip. Having one leg behind you in a stretch is really, in a dynamic warm-up, is great because it helps you activate your glutes and it helps you stretch the front of your hip, which is what you need when you run. Again, if you haven't done the dynamic warm-up before, I wouldn't suggest doing it right before the race. But it gets chilly out there while you're waiting to start, so get up and just walk around. Move your body before you go to run. Make sure that your joints and your muscles are warm and soft and ready to roll.
That's perfect. And understand, you have 26.2 miles in front of you, so the warm-up shouldn't be so strenuous that you're taking any of those precious energy reserves that you've worked so hard to get ready for race day runners. So yeah, when you're out there on Fort Wadsworth, definitely take some time, walk around, get yourself moving. It will be chilly. You're going to have the layers on, but also take time to sit down, relax, bring a book, soak it all in, because, man, you worked hard. I mean, it's hard to get to the start line of any race.
Yes.
It's
one of the hardest things I've ever done, I think. and then there's a lot of anticipation and energy before you start. So when you're waiting around in Staten Island, find that mantra, find that breath, connect with people. I mean, it is so exciting to meet people from all over the world that come to New York City for this marathon. So that would be my recommendation, and move.
Yeah, definitely move around, soak it all in. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. And then, heaven forbid, the cannon, in this case, we have a cannon that goes off for New York, which is a totally great experience. You're sitting there before the bridge. We have the cannon goes off. Frank Sinatra will sing to you. Off you go. You're crossing the Verrazano Narrows Bridge. You get into Brooklyn. You're on 4th Avenue. You're going through Brooklyn or Fort Greene. All of a sudden, you get into Queens. And right as you go over the Queensboro Bridge on 1st Avenue, an injury pops up. For runners out there that this may unfortunately happen to, what would be, some tips for the runner who all of a sudden encounters an injury during the race?
Yeah, so we have medical tents out there. So I would find a tent if you're having a hard time keeping up. And then there's ice that you can use. You can give yourself a little bit of a break. Try to walk and see if you can tolerate continuing on. But, in my opinion, there's always next year. And if it's just beyond the point of feeling like you can comfortably finish the race, I would check in with your body and see how you want to proceed.
Hopefully no one out there encounters that moment, because it is a tough moment. You'd have to make a tough decision. And I mean, you've trained so hard, you've crossed the start line, you have on your bib, maybe you're on 1st Avenue, maybe you're even back into 5th Avenue, coming back into Manhattan, you're inside mile 20 and you're just struggling. Sometimes you just kind of got to make the best call. And maybe the best call is to throw in the towel, live to fight another day. It's okay. There'll be other marathons, there'll be other years. So yeah, don't push so hard that you put yourself behind the eight ball with your training or your recovery when you get back. Take it in there, take it out. But I know we have some more shout outs and questions coming in, because we'd love to hear from you. We have JM, 3rd New York City, and 102nd marathon or ultra. Well, he's got to have a lot more than I'll ever have. I don't know about you. You're not going to go for 103? No?
Nope.
No, not going for 103. Okay. JM, you win today. Cara Ann, first NYC coming from San Diego. I am from San Clemente, just north of San Diego. Cara Ann, love my West Coast people coming out here. It is going to be a little bit colder than in San Diego, so make sure you pack an extra layer. Welcome to New York. Cammie from Omaha, Nebraska. Love it, Cammie. Can't wait to see you out there. Thank you so much for listening today. We have Tiffany coming in, second New York City Marathon. Listen for Long Island. So again, welcome back and enjoy the train ride over. We'll see you at the expo. Get ready for Sunday. We have Mike or Mayakai. I'm not really sure how to pronounce that one. I apologize. I'm sorry. From the Netherlands. Thank you so much for listening in across the Atlantic. Appreciate it. Thank you. We have Sue running with her daughter for her first marathon. God, that's got to be special.
That is amazing. Oh, Sue, enjoy this marathon with your daughter.
And it's her 5th New York City. I can tell you, Sue, I will never have that experience because my son will never run a marathon with me. So enjoy it. Can't wait to hear about it. Thank you so much, Sue, for listening. And Fernando from Costa Rica. Hey, thank you so much, Fernando, for listening. First New York. Definitely going to be more chilly up here than it is down in Costa Rica. Hopefully, if you can bring some sun up here, Cara will, give you some free yoga.
That's right. Pura vida. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Fernando. Yeah, a CMO New Yorker running their first New York City Marathon. Well, you probably have cheered on, hopefully, in the past years, so you know what the excitement's like on the other side of the barricades, and now you're going to be inside the barricades, hearing all that love for you. Soak it all in. You're going to enjoy the day. Monica, first time from Long Island. Enjoy the train ride in. You've probably been out there cheering on. Thank you so much, Monica. And we have Nick from the good old NYC. Thank you so much, Nick, for listening today. Carla, pumped to run on Sunday, but who's not?
Yes,
I know
we're
you're
pumped for you.
We're pumped for you. We'll be cheering you on. We'll be out there, Carla. Lee from New Jersey, second New York City. Again, hopefully your second is as fun, if not better, than your first. Thank you so much, runners, for listening out there. If you have more shout-outs, please drop them in the chat. We have some more questions coming in. Hopefully nothing bad, because, man, injury questions are always a tough one. Monica coming in there, having some dull pain in the left hip, radiating to mid-thigh and groin. Pain is on and off. So hopefully it's not an acute pain. So what are you thinking, Cara?
Yeah, I mean, again, depending on and off, is it because it's on and off doing the same things? Is it on and off and doing different things? So again, hard to say. Couldn't diagnose just from that. But I wouldn't do anything new. And I would rest it to get ready for Sunday.
Definitely. Nothing new. Again, taking notes down there, runners, just keep writing that down. Nothing new, nothing new. Next question's coming in. What do we got? Samoy, the back of the right knee near the outside stiffens up to the point where it feels like a cramp after a few miles. Is there some tricks that you can do to loosen that up? Maybe what might be going on there?
Yeah, so it could be your hamstring, could be your calf. It's usually one or the other if it's in the back of the knee. So I would make sure that you're doing the warm-ups before you run for sure. Make sure that you're getting your core strength in because, again, keeping the muscles strong up top will allow for the support down from the knee and below. Also, and again, not sure depending on the mileage, but make sure that as you're hydrating, you're also taking your electrolytes in. If you're just drinking water, as you know, you become sodium deficient and then muscles tend to cramp up. So that's something to, again, be mindful of. I always tell my runners, bring salt packets with you so that if you feel the cramp coming on, you could just, it doesn't taste good, but it helps a lot. So just make sure that you're hydrating and giving yourself enough nutrients during your run as well to rule that out.
Great advice on those salt. I know Cara shared with me a funny story about your salt bagel that you had before one of your marathons. But yeah, salt's very important, especially for runners who have been training in warmer climates. When you come up here, it will be colder. So I think Cara touched on a very important piece. Make sure you are staying hydrated even when you get here. The days before it will be colder. I mean, I think you're getting dehydrated, but you definitely still are. Even if you're not going to be sweating as much, just walk around the city off your feet, and definitely on race day. So great point on making sure that you stick to your hydration plans. Do not change it. Nothing new. You know what works for you. Next question's coming in. We have Nick. Got some knee pain, soreness in the front around the patella. Will sleeves help? He runs in motion control due to flat feet, overpronation, ortho inserts.
Yeah, so that anterior knee pain, that's what we call the knee pain in front of the patella. That's the more typical knee pain we see. Great that you're running in motion control shoes if that generally feels good to you and has felt good to you. If you have that pronated foot, I would not put an insert in. Again, nothing new. Sleeves could help. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. It depends on the person. Again, I'm a little hesitant to tell you to throw one on before the race. So if you feel like you've been able to get through your training, nothing new, something to consider afterwards. But really, I would recommend finding the root cause of why you have the knee pain. And although you have that motion control for the rotation control in your ankle from the bottom up with your sneakers, we want to look at the top down and make sure you have the hip and core control as well.
So true. Hopefully, Nick, you're feeling good getting out there for the race day. We have Frances coming in. She's dealing with some peroneal tendonitis for most of the training. Would compression socks or a brace at this point help out on race day?
I wouldn't go for a brace. If you've worn compression socks in the past, that's something to consider. Again, nothing new for Sunday. Sorry. Ktape might help support your peroneals a little bit. So if you can find someone, a professional, who could teach you how to place the Ktape on, or sometimes they have people at Expo. I'm not sure if they're going to have the KT guys at the Expo. That's something to consider. Otherwise, nothing new.
Nothing new for sure. Yeah, I mean, I see a lot of runners wear the compression socks or the sleeve down low. I usually wear a low ankle sock. For the compression sock, I mean, what really is helping the runner out who uses those, and what are kind of things that the runners are doing with those compression socks? I have a lot of questions on that myself. I've never worn them before. We see it before, but a runner who's wearing compression, either the sleeves or the socks on the lower legs, what may be some reasons why they wear those?
Yeah, I think for the most part, if you have a compressive garment on your leg, you're limiting swelling down there. So if you tend to swell, if your feet swell a lot when you run, that's a reason I would consider it. Beyond that, physiologically, not sure. Some people like the sensation of it, and that's why they use it.
Great information. I didn't know that, runners. I was curious, so thank you so much.
Yeah.
We have more questions coming in. Mara Tonikois, what do you think of using sunglasses on Sunday, besides looking really cool in the pictures?
Yeah, I wear my sunglasses at night.
Exactly. Probably you know the reference to the song. Go get that. There you go. No, I mean, I think wearing sunglasses are good. Again, it's probably one of those things. If you're used to training with them, I know there are runner-specific brands out there that you can use. Definitely, if you've not used sunglasses in training, maybe something new. It may feel different. It may be kind of weird to have weight. They won't weigh much when you start, but carrying something around your face and especially around your ears is where you're probably feel it the most, and on the bridge of the nose. Could be different. I mean, thankfully, the last forecast I looked at looks like mostly cloudy skies during the race day, so won't be too bright as sun. But yeah, again, if you haven't used it, like we'll go back to the old rule of thumb, nothing new on race day there, folks. Again, with a pair of glasses, if they're not, $200 pair of Gucci's or whatever, toss them off to the side. If you don't like them, never a bad call. But if you do wear them, make sure you look for the photographers, because you got to have that moment. Memory out there, you got to post it up on social media when you're done. But have a good race. We have Michael. Where will the first aid locations be? Will there be a BioFreeze or similar product offered out there? I know the first aid locations will be every mile. When you're out there, you'll see them. There'll be a white tent. There will be the people out there. In terms of BioFreeze will not be on the race course for this year, but I'm guessing at the medical tents, you'll have different tools for the runners to get them back out there, ice, and any of those kind of things.
Yeah, I imagine they're going to have ice. They usually have aspirin. They have lotion, like anti-chafe lotion. Those are the things that'll definitely be there. I'm not sure about BioFreeze.
Yeah, the anti-chafe stuff. God, oof.
So necessary.
That's not even... Don't even talk about that.
We've all had a rough story somewhere sometime.
Yeah. You've had it. You know what it feels like. You know the pain. That we're smiling, laughing now, but that first warm shower, no. Next question's coming in from Melissa. Will anyone be at medical be able to stretch us? I know obviously there's that. We're all very concerned about close contact, the touching, that kind of stuff. Is there any specific guidance you're giving the medical staffs out there?
I can only speak to HSS. We will have tools that you'll be able to stretch yourself with after the race. We're not on the course, we're post-course, so we'll have tools available to you post-race. With COVID, I would err on the side that likely there's not going to be that close contact for someone to specifically stretch you at the medical tent.
Yeah, I'm guessing in the case of a life-saving, yes, they will do everything they have to, but if there's some difficult pain, they'll be asking you most of the questions. You'll point to it. If they do feel the need, I'm sure there'll be the questions. Are you okay with this? Because again, we want to make sure that everyone, for the element of safety, that we keep everybody as safe as we can. But hopefully, no one finds themselves in those positions. All the best out there, runners. Question coming in: how would I handle knee pain when going uphill only? I experience no pain when downhill or on flats.
I would say my biggest recommendation would be try to lean forward in your uphill. I think it's great that you don't have pain on the downhill or flats. The lean forward will help you to utilize your glutes a little bit more functionally, so that might help take a little bit of pressure off your knees when you're uphill.
Great calling. No downhill pain. That's usually that's right here at the most.
Yes,
Because it's that jarring downhill. So
yeah, we control against gravity on the way down, so it's a lot harder for our muscles to work that way. So it might be a bit in your running form. Not sure, but I would give that a try. If it doesn't work, then go back to what feels good.
The joy of running is always something new to learn every day. From Kefren, if I don't eat breakfast on my long runs and my start time is not until 11:20, how should I fuel? So I'm guessing you're one person like me that gets up at the crack of dawn that goes out for your long run. Depending on when your wave is, 11:20, you're one of the later waves of the day. Think about what you're doing, before, like when you get back, you're eating, maybe when your lunch is, because that's going to be a long time, especially if you're catching the ferry or catching your bus, 5:30, 5:45 in the morning. You want that fuel tank to be topped off as much as you can. So there will be bananas and bagels on Fort Wadsworth. But again, if you haven't had those during all parts of your training, try to pack a little snack for yourself. You're going to want to keep that fuel source up. Something that you're comfortable with, bland food, very easy to digest, nothing too much. But I would definitely try to pack something in just to nibble on, if nothing else, because you're going to be out there for a while. It will be chilly. Shaking a little bit will use up your energy stores if you're not properly dressed for that. So having the layers on to keep your body as warm as you can. I would definitely bring something along just to snack on, something you're comfortable with, something that can digest easy within your stomach. Nothing new as usual. Don't go out and buy that new multi-grain bar that you've been curious about. If you're going to want something to snack on to keep that fuel source ready, because when that gun goes off, you want your fuel source to be nice and topped, so that when you begin to add in any kind of other fuel during the race, you will maximize that for you.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. That's the toughest, when you're so used to running early and your start time is shifted a little bit later than what's typical. It's tough. Jason Machowski, I think, is speaking about nutrition. So if you want to check in a couple of days, he might also be able to give some advice. But I think Ben's advice is spot on.
Yeah, the one that we call it a second breakfast. If
Yes.
you're used to the first breakfast at 5, 6 a.m., 7 a.m., great. Second breakfast, definitely this is a race, because people always say, why do I have to get over to Fort Wadsworth so early? Why can't I get there later? Why do we have to be there for 4 hours before my start time? Well, we have to get everybody onto the island because we have to get the bridge back open to get the runners starting going back. So we got to get you over there safely, get you prepared. So you have to kind of plan a little bit more in advance. The second breakfast is always a good option. And who doesn't like breakfast? I love breakfast.
I also love snacks. I'm a big snack fan, so bring your snacks. You don't have to eat them, but bring your snacks in case you need them.
Next questions are coming in. From Luis, do you recommend a professional massage the day before the race?
No. Hard no. I do recommend massages in general, but sometimes having a little tone to your muscles is not a bad thing before a race. And if you're going to release all the tone from your body, you don't know how your body's going to perform. So I would schedule that massage for after the marathon.
Yeah. Not much else to it there, because I've had people get the massage before and they wake up the next day and they can't walk.
Yes. Yes. It happens. It happens.
So again, nothing new. Nope. There we go. Not race day, folks. Write that one down. Sarah, on my long runs, I have soreness in my inner hips. And aside from the occasional stretch, would you recommend taping anything up, or ibuprofen? That's always a question people ask about ibuprofen, Tylenol, pain relievers. Good idea?
I think Tylenol is generally safe. Ibuprofen depends. It's an anti-inflammatory. I generally recommend if that's something that you have taken, your body deals well with it, you can try it. I wouldn't try anything new again during your runs. Inner thigh taping, You have to get pretty high in the groin to get to the muscles. They're called your adductors, the ones in the middle of the thigh. So I don't recommend taping for the inner thigh. And again, if this is light, atypical for you, fingers crossed this doesn't happen on race day. So I wouldn't prepare that it would. Follow your mantra. Follow your restfulness and breathing through the week. Again, some type of strength training might help to improve that moving forward. I wouldn't start a strength training program this week, of course, but something to consider moving forward.
I hope everything's okay, Sarah. Hopefully got one more question coming, it sounds like. What do you got for us? My favorite brunette, that's obviously not one of us up here, but we won't take that personal. But I ran Berlin, then Chicago, and the arches on my feet were killing me by mile 20. I felt like flat pancakes, high arch insoles, again, KT taping, any kind of extra support. What do we think?
Yeah, if you have high arches and a rigid foot, those high arch insoles are great. You can use Ktape. There's a technique that'll help support the arch of your foot. Again, I'm hesitant to tell you to do that if you've never done that before, but it is something that you could consider to give that little extra support in your marathons.
Yeah, I mean, and congratulations on doing Berlin and
Yes.
Chicago already this year, and New York. I mean, that's 3 stars, 3 medals, 3 big shout outs. That's incredible, runners. I don't even like doing one per year.
I know. I'm so impressed with everyone who can do that.
It is so
amazing.
awesome. Well, Cara, I cannot thank you enough for coming in today. I think if we take everything away, it's nothing new on race day, right? And we love snacks.
Yes.
The important things in life. Nothing new on race
Yes.
day. Love snacks. Runners, thank you so much for joining today. Have a great rest of your week. Take it easy. The hay is in the barn. Enjoy yourself. Hopefully, we'll see you at the expo. We'll be back starting tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Core Strategy. So every 9, 12 p.m. and 6 p.m. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we'll be on here with Core Strategies. Bring those course questions, those race questions. The coaches will be here ready to answer away. We'll see you hopefully tomorrow morning at 9 or one of the other days. Again, Cara, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Everyone have a great day out there, and
Have
we'll
a
see you
great
at the
race.
expo. Bye-bye.